Sean is next up. Sean is in St. Louis. Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm great, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve, brother. What's up?
I appreciate you taking the call. I got a dilemma here. I own a lawnmower dealership with 8 team members, been in business about 7 years. My landlords have more than doubled the rent in the past 6 years. I don't really want to buy the building I'm in, and it would take probably $800,000 plus to build something or buy something. Curious your advice on what to do, I guess, and how much to save before I go for something like that.
Okay. One more time. You're in the what business?
Lawnmower dealership. So I sell zero turns and stuff like that.
Okay. So how important is the traffic count in front of the location, or does the location matter at all? Is it destination customers?
No, the traffic is very important. The location we're at is very good, so I don't want to lose that.
Yeah. Well, you've lost it because you can't pay the rent. It doesn't make sense anymore. So we're going to go somewhere else. But traffic count matters. So it does the quality of the traffic count by there, the number of cars per day in front of it, is a big advertisement for you, and it lets people know to come there to buy the lawnmower, right, or to get it repaired or whatever. Okay, that makes sense. So what's your gross revenues?
We do about $1.5 million right now, and hopefully growing year over year. Okay. That's where we're at right now.
And you got a high cost of goods sold because you're running an actual hard inventory piece, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's
so what are your margins under 10%?
It's more like 20 probably.
That's a gross margin though. You're not netting that, are you?
No, net's probably closer to 10. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking. All right. Because I mean, you got a big dog piece of machinery in the equation here. Okay. So
yes.
All right. Number one, I would not think about buying today. I would just move to another rental location.
Okay.
And we want to tie it up at least 5 years. I prefer to tie it up 5 years with an option to buy it if it meets certain guidelines. Now, here's the problem. How long have you been in business?
7 years.
Good for you. How much have you grown during that 7 years?
A lot. I think the first year we were probably $250,000.
What about in terms of space needs? How much have you grown?
We're definitely busting at the seams now.
So you've grown 4x in space needs as well as revenues?
Yeah, I think. I can get by where I'm at now. We're definitely bumping elbows.
Okay, so aren't you glad you don't own that?
Yeah.
You know, because all of a sudden the real estate starts squeezing your business creativity because you're subconsciously afraid to grow because you're outgrowing the place you bought and own. This is the problem with buying the real estate for a small business. Usually, if you're in a growth curve like you are, you're going to be better off for a long time being a renter, as long as you're growing. Until you get cash flow so dramatically good that you can afford to buy way beyond your needs, and you've got, you're buying 2x what your need is so you can grow into it for years to come. All right? So what I want you to do is I want you to do two things. What your ideal property is today, if I'm in your shoes, is go to an area of town that is the edge of the growth area. It's kind of green. Everything hasn't quite gotten there yet. It's not mature. You follow me?
Yeah.
So in the next 10 years, it's going to grow all up around you. You follow me? If you go to an area that's just okay right now, but was prime 3 years ago, 10 years from now, it's probably not an area people even want to drive into.
Right.
So go out to the edge of the green and start talking to somebody about leasing there from them 5 years with a 5-year option to renew with an option to purchase for X number of dollars anytime in those lease years. Okay. So, and it ought to be 2x what you need in size. Pay some extra rent. Pay a little extra rent.
If that building doesn't exist, do I ask someone to build it for me, I guess?
Yep, they build it and lease it back to you.
Got it.
Because it's not an expensive building. and you've got a pretty stable, ongoing concern, you would be a strong tenant for somebody to do that. You're not an A-class tenant, meaning you're not a credit tenant, but you've got a thing. And just keep poking around, and I want you to look at so much real estate in the next several months that you're gagging on it. You hate real estate because you know more about every building that's available in the area than anybody else, including all the real estate agents, because all you do is look at everything. Anytime you see an empty building, you look it up on the tax records, you call the owner and find out what's going on with it, even if it's not for sale or lease, right? You're turning over rocks. You're turning over rocks. You're trying to find the right deal. This is exactly what I did 14 years ago. All right? And I ended up with 3 properties that would work. Only one of them would let me lease with an option, so I went with it. It was a 55,000 square foot building. I needed 13,000 feet, and I had an option to take the rest of the building as a tenant as I grew, as someone moved out, and I had an option to buy the building after 5 years for $5 million. I saved the $5 million during that 5 years, bought the building. It was worth $13 million. We outgrew it and came out to the green area I'm talking about 7 years ago and bought 47 acres and started building again. And so I've experienced exactly what you're dealing with, and I'm telling you, if you're not careful, when I had that 155,000 square foot building and we had outgrown it, you can't keep it because you love the real estate, you love the building, but you all of a sudden the business is conforming to the real estate instead of the real estate conforming to the business. You follow me? That's what I don't want you to get into. I would rather you rent the rest of your business career than have the building tell your business what to do instead of your business tell the building what to do. I don't care if you own real estate for the purposes of the business. I care that the business grows and thrives first and foremost. And if, as a part of that, we can work some building ownership into it, fine. If not, we'll take a bunch of those profits and just go buy some real estate for fun and still be a tenant. Does that make any sense?
Yes, definitely.
Because if you had called me 10 years ago or 7 years ago, and I had told you some way to finance the building that you're in, and you had bought it, you'd be screwed right now.
Yeah.
You'd be trying to figure out a way to move and sell the building you're in. You'd have a business problem and a real estate problem right now because you're all the way up against the wall. You got no room for inventory. The customers can't walk through there. You got stuff stacked 10 high. There's no room for the parts delivery. I mean, I know what you're dealing because we did the exact same crap. We had shipping stacked 3 high. We threatened to put cubes in the building that were double deckers. I mean, we were trying to figure out a way to make the stupid building work instead of make the business work around it. And that's what I want for you. I'd rather you just be a renter.
Okay.
But best case is you rent in enough space in an area that the economy is going to grow towards you, and you later can buy it when you've got the cash, no debt. You knew I was going to say that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some things are predictable, brother. Hey, man, that's a really good question. Thanks for letting me get on my soapbox and tell stories. But they're real stories. They really happen, and it really helps you in this situation. But you do need a high traffic count location. You are going to pay a premium rent for that in some way or another. But maybe the particular location you're in is just is a little bit more valuable than you actually need. You don't need an A-class location from a retail perspective. You need a B- or a C+ from a retail perspective to sell lawnmowers.